In 2007, Vincent de Rivaz, then CEO of one of the main contractors of the UK's flagship nuclear project Hinkley Point C, the French energy giant EDF, boasted that by 2017, Brits would be cooking their Christmas turkeys with electricity from the plant. Now, in 2024, this reactor, touted as one of the safest and most powerful ever, is frequently in the news due to slow construction progress, labor and material shortages, and inflation. According to EDF's latest forecasts, Brits might not be able to cook their Christmas turkeys with this reactor's power until at least 2029. The cost has skyrocketed from the initial estimate of £32.7 billion to £46 billion. The UK has already stated, as of late last year, that it will not use government funds to cover the shortfall for this commercial project. At first glance, this seems like just another typical story of European infrastructure projects being delayed due to various factors. However, within reports by Western media outlets like The Guardian and the BBC discussing how to cover the cost overruns, the name of China's nuclear enterprise, CGN, fleetingly appears. According to the Financial Times, amidst the UK's recent efforts to follow the US in coordinating efforts to exclude China from all future nuclear projects, CGN, having settled its contractual share, has refused to cover the overruns. British media reports that the UK government had previously taken over CGN's stake in Hinkley Point C's sister project, Sizewell C, removing the Chinese company from the project. How did Hinkley Point C, a nuclear power plant involving China, the UK, and France, end up in such a predicament? How was CGN gradually pushed out of the Sizewell C project by the UK government? Most importantly, the UK government claims that since it hasn't invested, it is uninvolved and blames EDF and CGN. But is the UK as innocent as it claims? To understand the full story, we may need to go back over a decade. Unlike today's pessimistic tone in Western media about Hinkley Point C, the project was widely praised by international media and project organizers when it was successfully launched. On September 29, 2016, CGN and EDF officially signed a package cooperation agreement for new nuclear power projects in the UK and London. Simultaneously, they signed the Hinkley Point C nuclear project income and investment guarantee agreement with the UK government and completed the relevant equity transactions. From this moment, the Hinkley Point C project had officially completed all necessary reviews and commercial processes before substantial commencement. This package of new nuclear power projects in the UK covers 3 initiatives. These include Hinkley Point C, jointly invested and built by CGN and EDF, participation in the development phase of Sizewell C, and leading the development of Bradwell B, a joint venture to carry out the general design assessment for China's indigenous Hualong 1 nuclear technology in the UK. The UK government's need for new nuclear power stations is undeniable. Although the UK was a pioneer in building nuclear power stations in the 1950s and 60s, it hasn't completed a single nuclear power plant in the past 30 years. However, the UK's demand for electricity, particularly clean electricity, is extremely urgent. As a tool for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, nuclear power is regaining favor in Western countries, especially as the shadow of the Fukushima nuclear crisis fades. In 2008, the Brown government launched the current nuclear power plant construction plan, announcing in a January white paper that it would support building a new generation of nuclear power stations. In 2010, Hinkley Point C became one of 8 nuclear power plants announced by the UK government, receiving its nuclear license in 2012. It seemed that all the preliminary preparations were in place, with the UK government setting the stage. All that remained was to find a qualified and responsible enterprise to undertake the construction of this nuclear power plant. The French were the first to step in. As a nuclear power nation, France has accumulated solid advanced technology and a large pool of professional talent over many years of nuclear power plant construction. EDF, a company owned by the French government, actively started to lay out its nuclear power business in the UK as early as 2009, acquiring British Energy for £12.4 billion. Additionally, Centrica, a multinational energy company specializing in natural gas and electricity, partnered with EDF in this transaction, acquiring 20% of British Energy's shares from EDF and participating in EDF's nuclear power projects in the UK. This collaboration between British and French enterprises showcased a deep integration of interests. However, such a strong partnership did not ensure smooth sailing in the subsequent development. Setting aside the bickering among European countries over environmental issues and intermittent EU investigations, EDF faced internal financial difficulties, opposition from some senior management and unions, and could not reach a consensus on investing in Hinkley Point C, repeatedly delaying the final investment decision. Given the UK's substantial nuclear market, it was inevitable that China would be interested. As early as 2012, when CGN and Areva jointly bid for Horizon Nuclear Power, their ambition to enter the UK nuclear market began to emerge. In early 2013, EDF extended an olive branch to CGN, proposing a joint venture to develop the UK nuclear market, and formal cooperation negotiations soon began. According to media reports, an agreement reached between EDF and CGN in October 2013 stipulated that CGN and China National Nuclear Corporation (CNNC) would jointly hold 30% to 40% of the shares in the nuclear plant. Lengthy negotiations ensued over the precise shareholding and contract details. As a nuclear power project involving China, the UK, and France, and as the world's most expensive nuclear power project at the time, Hinkley Point C naturally attracted significant attention from governments. Back then, cooperation, not confrontation, was the prevailing concept, with the belief that collaboration would bring mutual benefits. On March 26, 2014, CGN and EDF signed the UK New Nuclear Project Industrial Cooperation Agreement in Paris, formally confirming their participation in the development and construction of new nuclear projects in the UK. On October 21, 2015, CGN and EDF signed the UK New Nuclear Project Strategic Investment Agreement in London. Throughout this period, EDF's final investment decision was continuously delayed. By 2016, EDF's net profit had dropped by 68%, and its stock price had halved. By this time, the cost of the Hinkley Point C project had surpassed EDF's total market value. CGN's entry at this juncture was undoubtedly a lifeline for the beleaguered EDF and the UK government. With other financing sources backing out, CGN's generous support significantly mitigated the potential cost increases due to further project delays. With the combined efforts of China, the UK, and France, EDF's board finally approved the investment in Hinkley Point C by a vote of 10-7 in July 2016. Gerard Magnan, a director firmly opposed to the project, resigned before the vote, fearing that potential delays could bankrupt the company. Regardless, at this point, the Hinkley Point C nuclear power project finally saw a glimmer of hope. On the same day that EDF's board approved the investment in Hinkley Point C, Greg Clark, the UK's Secretary of State for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, announced that the government would postpone the decision to carefully consider all aspects of the project until autumn 2016, including national security concerns. This was not a positive sign. A month earlier, in June 2016, the UK had voted in a referendum to leave the EU. The political turmoil following Brexit soon became apparent. The newly appointed Theresa May government quickly launched an investigation into the Hinkley Point C project under the guise of national security. According to an August 24, 2016 report by The Independent, UK government officials were reviewing the Hinkley Point C nuclear project and exploring ways to gracefully exit the agreement while minimizing financial risks and international relations damage. Theresa May's senior advisor Nick Timothy had previously warned the UK government that China could use its role, referring to CGN as an investor in Hinkley Point C, to introduce vulnerabilities into computer systems, potentially allowing them to shut down UK energy production at will. This was sheer nonsense. EDF held the dominant position in the Hinkley Point C project, and CGN was merely a financial investor with a 33.5% stake, far from a controlling interest. Moreover, the reactor units used in the project, ERP, were purely European products, developed by France's Framatome and EDF, along with Germany's Siemens. After a series of fruitless investigations, the Theresa May government approved the £18 billion Hinkley Point C project in September 2016. Facing domestic criticism for allowing Chinese involvement in the nuclear project, the UK government insisted that Hinkley Point C was approved only under new significant safeguard measures. They had established new measures for future energy security, granting the UK government a special share in subsequent projects, meaning they would have veto power over project ownership in case of national security concerns. Neither EDF nor CGN, who were then celebrating the successful signing, foresaw that this seemingly innocuous clause would later become a key tool for the UK government to use administrative intervention to oust CGN from the UK market. On August 14, 2019, the US Department of Commerce added China General Nuclear Power Group and its 3 subsidiaries to the entity list. Meanwhile, UK-China relations hit a low point for various reasons, and UK media seized the opportunity to once again hype potential security issues related to Chinese-funded nuclear power plants after the UK decided to phase out Huawei equipment. Unable to find faults with the Hinkley Point C project before the agreement was signed, attention turned to another project, Sizewell C. According to a 2020 BBC report, after Japanese companies exited new nuclear power projects, the UK government considered investing directly in the Sizewell C nuclear project. Previously, CGN had a 20% stake in the Sizewell C project and participated in its development, as per agreements with EDF and the UK government. By the end of 2022, the UK government successfully removed CGN from the Sizewell C project, announcing a £700 million investment to acquire 50% of the plant's shares, with the remaining shares held by EDF. Future development and construction would be managed by EDF. The UK government also announced that CGN received an undisclosed amount for its shares, reflecting the company's value and representing the commercial return for its development work to date. Thus, out of the 3 nuclear projects initially included in the agreement, China has already exited Sizewell C, which required Chinese investment in technology. The future of Bradwell B, another project needing Chinese investment in technology, also looks bleak. Now, only Hinkley Point C, which required merely financial investment, remains. Last December, after paying its contracted share, CGN stopped providing funds for the project. Without CGN as a strong partner, EDF must find solutions on its own. Delays are already a fact, and the biggest challenge for EDF is cost overruns. As the construction period extends, costs rise accordingly. Previously, EDF increased the project cost from £18 billion to £32.7 billion. Considering inflation, the actual increase might be higher, potentially soaring to £46 billion. If funds cannot be secured, the Hinkley Point C project may face further delays or even abandonment. However, the significance of the Hinkley Point C project is well known. It is crucial for filling the UK's impending energy gap and paving the way for the UK's nuclear power plan. The Grand UK Nuclear Plan is fraught with uncertainties. This once exemplary project of 3-party cooperation has evolved into its current contentious state, with its rights and wrongs left for future generations to judge. That concludes today's discussion. See you in the next episode.